Dating violence is not about love. Can you imagine being hit several times with a stone in your head? Sounds scary and disturbing, right? Can you believe if it is said to happen in real? In this video, let's discuss a cold case where a girl named Laura Salmon was murdered brutally years back. Let's search for how they got the leads. A farmer found something in a field on May 31st, 1984. He discovered a young woman's body on the ground. She had 2 pairs of pants covering her up and was only wearing a bra. Hers were the first set, and a man's pair made up the second. Additionally, a pair of panties was discovered in one of her hands. It was determined that Laura Salmon's was the body. According to Laura's autopsy, she suffered a blow to the head that caused her to pass away. Near her body, several rocks were discovered at the scene. Laura may have received roughly 10 blows to the head, according to the investigation. Isn't it that scary and inhumane? Additionally, the medical examiner discovered proof that Laura had consensual intercourse between 24 and 48 hours before her passing. There were no visible signs of sexual assault on her body. The genes of the male was looked at. Semen was discovered on them by the detectives. After being gathered, the DNA was tested in a lab. DNA testing was still in its infancy at the time. Around 1:00 p.m. on May 31st, Laura exited Kroger. Then, she was meant to go swimming at her grandmother's house and to attend a meeting at MTSU to check her grades. At her meeting at the university, Laura never showed up. Near the supermarket, Laura's automobile was discovered. While the authorities did discover a foreign hair, there were no fingerprints inside. On the driver's side floor, the passenger's floor mat, and the rear passenger side floor, they also discovered filth and debris. The debris matched the debris that had been discovered at the crime scene. In a nightclub on May 30th, witnesses claimed to have seen Laura dancing with a male. Later, it came to light that the man was a pal of Laura's. The location where Laura was discovered was a well-known party and lover's path. Kyle Gilley, Laura's ex-boyfriend from high school, was the first person the police questioned. Kyle was a notoriously envious person who had previously abused Laura. Kyle claimed he had an alibi and denied being involved. He had spent the entire night at home, according to his father. Will Kylie be the suspect? Laura's mother was quite disappointed that the cops didn't investigate Kyle any further. Do you think his father helped him by making wrong statements? A woman in Nashville, Tennessee, contacted police. She revealed to them that a man had sexually attacked her and made the threat that she would become like Laura. Now, this turned into a tale to reach the suspect. The man was interrogated. He denied assaulting Laura or knowing her. The cops did learn that he attended MTSU and was on campus the day Laura died, though. Additionally, he had a history of abusing women. The hair of the male was compared to the non-native hair discovered in Laura's vehicle. The crime lab initially claimed it was consistent with the hair discovered in the automobile. Additionally, the individual was too little to wear the men's jeans that had been located there. The inseam was 36 inches, while the waist was 30 inches. After some time, this individual was exonerated since his hair and DNA did not match. As the evidence didn't match, the case turned into a cold case. This made the police interview 100 of the suspects in the case, but nothing helped. This case went frozen for around 16 years. The investigation into Laura's case wouldn't be completed for 16 years. Cold case investigators Bill Sharp and Dan Goodwin from the Rutherford County Sheriff's Office were given the job of finding Laura's murderer in 2000. Dan Goodwin was particularly interested in Laura's case because he knew her from MTSU. At MTSU, Goodwin was a member of a fraternity, and Laura was one of their little sisters. He addressed Laura's mother at her funeral and promised to find out who killed her daughter. Goodwin began her career as a newspaper reporter before taking a circuitous route into law enforcement. Sharp and Goodwin sent all of their available evidence to TBI Lab for new testing as one of their first actions. By the year 2000, technology was available to determine whose sperm was on that pair of rustler jeans. In an effort to uncover any fresh leads, they also started going over all of the earlier interviews and case files. In 2000, they did receive one fresh lead. When discussing Laura's case, a kid from Oakland High School overheard saying that his father had killed Laura and thrown her body in the quarry. In their re-examination of Laura's case, detectives Sharp and Goodwin re-interviewed previous witnesses and discovered some new ones. The image that began to emerge was one of violence. Kim B., a friend and neighbor of Laura, was one of those witnesses. She admitted to detectives that she had visited the police station at the same time as Gilly to respond to certain inquiries. After that, she took Gilly home since he wanted to visit Laura's father. She saw Gilly looking through Laura's possessions when she was at the Salmon home and taking several letters. Although the student's father had a police record for violent assault, by the time investigators could find their potential suspect, he had passed away. The suspect's children were requested to produce a DNA sample, which they did. Ultimately, the sample's DNA was not a match for that discovered at Laura's crime scene. They examined the rapist's historical DNA as well. That didn't match either, given that he had gone on a date with Laura before she was killed. Even Goodwin provided his DNA. That didn't match either. Don't you think there will be eyewitnesses in the case? Usually, if nothing works in a case, the police officials go for the eyewitnesses. But in every case, there won't be an eyewitness. But in this case, luckily, some eyewitnesses helped to connect with the suspect. On May 31st, the witness spotted Kyle operating Laura's vehicle. She drew Laura's vehicle and Kyle's picture from photo lineups. She characterized Kyle as having a blank expression and gazing forward. By the year 2000, Kyle was employed by the Manatee County Public Works Department, residing in Florida, and going through a second divorce. Kyle also has a criminal record for attempted burglary, aggravated sexual battery, and resisting arrest. In Florida, Kyle was interviewed. He requested legal counsel while continuing to deny killing Laura. He did provide a sample of his DNA, and the results indicated that it matched the semen on the jeans. Additionally, medium-velocity blood spatter was discovered on the jeans' knee area by a fresh crime scene analyst. According to the analyst, the murderer was on his knees when he assaulted Laura with the pebbles. After being detained, Kyle Gilly was given a murder charge. According to the forensic report, the prosecution also outlined their theory of what happened on May 31st in the afternoon. They think that although Laura and Gilly had agreed to meet up and go swimming that afternoon, Gilly persuaded her to go to the empty Lover's Lane instead. Did he know that she had spent the previous night out clubbing? Gilly soon restrained and straddled Laura as they began to argue. Then, using the nearest items he could find on the ground, rocks of varying sizes, he whacked her repeatedly in the head. Gilly left his jeans where they were since he noticed that he had blood on the upper portion of them. Gilly's semen sample, which was discovered on those jeans, and Laura's bloodstain would be identified by DNA testing. Laureen, Laura's mother, had already admitted to the initial investigators that she was aware Kyle had murdered Laura. She claimed that the initial investigators didn't consider her credible. Jealousy seemed to be the driving force. Since Laura was a year older than Kyle, his envy increased when she departed for college. When they broke up, Laura started hanging out with her new friends and started dating others. The night before Laura passed away, Kyle was allegedly seen following her to a club, according to the prosecution and police. Laura intended to go swimming and may have invited Kyle to join her. When Kyle and Laura arrived at the quarry, they got into an argument. Kyle murdered Laura and abandoned his clothes because he saw blood on them. The trial for Kyle began in September 2006. According to Kyle's defense, there was unidentified DNA at the crime site, which proved his innocence. Kyle received a life sentence after being convicted guilty of murder. Don't you think this case was solved just because of Laura's friends and the eyewitnesses? What do you think about this case? Share your thoughts in the comment section. Subscribe to our channel to learn more about crime cases and click on the bell icon to stay updated. See you in the next video.